and welcome back to the Talk of Fame podcast. I'm Kaima Tigney, and I'm introducing you to Paulenna Reid for today's episode. Pauleanna is a senior contributor at ForbesWomen, plus Business Insider and founder of the WritersBlok, a full-service celebrity ghostwriting agency, a purpose-driven interpreter with a storied career. When she doesn't have a pen in her hand, you can find her mentoring millennial women and delivering university guest lectures on entrepreneurship, fulfilling a passion to light up a dual classroom curriculums with real-world experience. She's also a mental health advocate and public speaker, widely known for using clever wit and candor to help young adults see beyond the limits of their circumstances. She recently graduated from the Women's Leadership Program at Yale School of Management, and she's an active member of a chess club, has written 2 books, and loves to volunteer. Seems to be aligned with my interests, which I love. But thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to have you on the
Thank
podcast.
you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. So, like, how did you start your career as a celebrity ghostwriter? Because I know you didn't want to kind of be like that, like you'll be a ghostwriter, right?
Yeah, so I mean, at first, I didn't even know what ghostwriting was. Early in my career as a writer, actually, I'd like to think that it started while I was in the corporate world, right? Writing, I think people underestimate how transferable writing skills are. It doesn't matter what industry, it doesn't matter what level, it doesn't matter what title you hold. Everybody needs to know how to write on a very basic level. And so for 10 years in the corporate world, I was an executive assistant to presidents and CEOs across various industries. And that's really where my writing skills were nurtured. And once I transitioned into full-time entrepreneurship in January 2019, um, that's when I decided to really place all of my attention into ghostwriting. Now, how did I get started? Well, I side hustled like a lot of young people, right? I worked a full-time job, and on the sidelines, I had writing gigs. I was writing for newspapers. I was part of writing clubs. I was freelancing and supporting and editing client work. And then I worked remotely under an agency based in Philadelphia, and I worked remotely for 2 years, and that's where I got my introduction to ghostwriting. So my boss at the time, who's now my mentor, a phenomenal woman, she assigned me a speech for a world-renowned supermodel. That was my first ghostwriting gig ever. And once I submitted it, there was very little edits. Actually, there was no edits. And I was like, okay, I definitely have a gift here.
Ooh, like like as a writer myself, I could never like whenever I write, I'm not the best writer, just FYI to everyone. I'm not the best writer. And I applaud you for that because whenever if I write someone like a speech or something for like a model at that time, I'm like, there's gonna be tons of edits. So you have more courage and talent than I could have in
I
writing.
was horrified. I was so scared. I remember staying up all night. I was so scared. But I think everything boils down to just believing in yourself. The foundation to anything successful is belief. You have to see it in your mind first. And I really, really wanted the root of what I wanted was to transition out of the corporate world. And so the vehicle in which I used was to leverage ghostwriting.
Great idea. And I know when people hear about ghostwriting, they're like, what the heck is that? Like that how well, I don't know what that is, but what exactly is this kind of like a celebrity ghostwriter? Is what kind of like once I saw it, I'm like, what exactly is that? I knew it was a writing term, but I was like, what exactly is it?
So a ghostwriter, right? So where do I want to start? So if you look at the term ghostwriter, you want to look at the root word, which is ghost, right? So essentially, when I contribute to a writing project, I don't exist, right? So I'm a ghost. My name is not on the project. The credit goes to the individual in which I ghost wrote for. So now this could be in the assistance of books, keynote speeches, or personal essays. And so I write on behalf of high profile individuals, athletes, celebrities, entertainers, founders, executives, politicians, and so on.
Ooh, interesting. I never knew that was a thing. Like when you started, doing that, of course, your first kind of thing was like a supermodel at the time, but did you know what ghostwriting was at that time, or you didn't know?
I didn't really know what ghostwriting was. Um, I stumbled across an article in 2014. I'm a content junkie. I read a lot. I watch
So,
a lot of TV. I watch a lot of movies. And I also feel like when you are so committed to knowing what's happening in the world, in your industry, and pop culture, you will also run into the thing that lights you up. So I was reading an article in 2014 and I stumbled across a woman who was a ghostwriter. And I was like, wait, what is this? My mind was blown. And so I kind of, I put it in the back of my thought process and I'm like, I'm going to revisit this at the right time. And the right time was a few years later, or the next year when I started ghostwriting for my boss at the time, my part-time boss. I was side hustling.
like of course, like I'm a big entertainment geek as well. I feel like I learned more from entertainment than school for some reason. I feel like
Hmm.
it's just like they're or reading, whatever has to evolve. I feel like entertainment or whatever it's related, news, whatever, it helps us learn about different things. Maybe as a ghostwriter, like you didn't like you learned about ghostwriting on social media. So it
Hmm.
really shows how much social media can really impact you for you learning different things, whether it's like ghostwriting or different job opportunities.
I think we just need to pay attention. I think oftentimes we scroll endlessly just for the chuckle, for the laugh, just for entertainment. When I'm scrolling, I'm studying the material. When I'm watching a movie, I am putting myself in the position of a writer who was in that writer's room. When I'm reading something, I'm highlighting, I'm dog earing, I'm using my pen to write notes in the margin. I think that we have the opportunity to learn from everything. And I also believe that success leaves clues. And if you pay close attention, you'll discover a clue that could lead you to the next chapter of your life.
I so agree. And like, how do you, write projects as a ghostwriter? I know every ghostwriter is different in terms of writing, but how do you typically write projects and stuff for entertainment wise?
So, my background is in journalism and research. So, clients really appreciate the fact that I can be an empathetic interviewer. They appreciate my
Mhm.
level of questioning. They appreciate my level of detail and intention. So, in order to facilitate a ghostwriting project, at first you have to wear a few different hats. You're a human diary and a confidant for this individual. You have to know how to create a safe space for this individual to share their innermost thoughts. You have to learn how to architect a story. You have to be a great interviewer, right? You have to ask the
Yeah.
right questions to get the right answers so you have the right information to create the piece. And so there's a few different hats that you wear. You're a project manager, you're so many different things. A writer or your writing skills is merely just a sliver of the whole body of work.
And I love that you have background in journalism research because, of course, with being a journalist, you have to
Mhm,
have some sort of like research on different topics that your guest is doing. Because, of course,
mhm.
you have to know kind of who you are talking to, and of course, like what their
Yeah.
background is and what kind of people are interested in. Because, of course, if people are not gonna listen to your thing or read your thing, whatever, then that means like whoever your guest is, they might not be interested or you just didn't get that as much research as you should have probably gotten.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So you have to pay attention to the details. You also take on the role of a consultant and an advisor, right? Like you collaborate with your client to assess who they want to talk to, right? To assess the tone and the voice of their personal brand, to assess the message that they want to tell, to assess the parts of their story that are most relevant, to also infuse clever anecdotes and data and takeaways and create an experience for the end user. And then
Mhm.
you have to decide what the end goal is, right? Like what is the end goal at the end? What is the end goal that we are in pursuit of? So there's multiple layers. I think people approach me and they're like, I want to be a ghostwriter. How do I get started? But it's not so much of being a phenomenal writer as it is being a great structural thinker.
That is such a great tool because, of course, with being a ghostwriter or a writer or a journalist, whatever you are in your specific career field, there's like critical thinking and research and really kind of looking at different variety of ways to really kind of pursue your career field. But the more you work in terms of whether it's writing or researching, the better you get. And you need to
Mhm.
kind of eye watching your audience to see, okay, oh, how old are these people like
Yeah.
reading this content or watching your content, or where do these people live? Like, should I get something like kind of in their home countries or states? Maybe they
Mhm.
find it more relatable, So
Yes.
it really is more kind of what relates to your audience and their age rather than, okay, I'm gonna get something complete opposite so I can just meet my personal needs.
Absolutely. Because how you would write a speech for, let's say, a graduation may be different than how you would write a speech if you were accepting an award at a gala event. So you have to assess all of those things in order to deliver the message.
And of course, you are a founder and you've been in this business for such a long time, but what is kind of like your strategy to build a loyal community in your work?
Yeah, absolutely. My strategy to building a loyal community is through storytelling. So as a founder, actually, you know what? I'll go back. Before I was a founder, before I ran any company, I fell in love with storytelling through books, through the world of
hmm
books. I have memories of my father taking me to the library, me and my siblings, and getting library cards and, renting out books and videos every week. And that's probably where my love for storytelling came from because through stories, you can travel the world. Through stories, you can gain knowledge around language and different cultures and different people. And so I myself really appreciated my favorite types of stories are autobiographies and
Me too.
documentaries. And I myself really appreciated and really loved how vulnerable people can be with their story. Because when you learn the behind the scenes of someone's story, you also take in the fact that every great artist or executive or celebrity was once an amateur. And when we're young, we are amateurs. We don't yet know the greater scope of our capabilities or our skills. And so I love seeing that story arc of when someone started in their teens or in their 20s and when they ended up and how and the resilience that they took to get there. And so
And
how I imply this in my own brand and building community back to your question is sharing stories from my life, right? I don't ever shy away from sharing how I got to from A to B. I love connecting because through stories, you foster connection and trust. So when you open up and you share, hey, I'm starting this business, I'm trying to sell this t-shirt, and these are the challenges that I had today, or these are the wins that I experienced recently, or this is how I designed the t-shirt. When you take someone behind the scenes of a particular milestone in your life, um, it allows them to see the whole picture. As you know, you and I, we are women, and but we're not just women or founders or the host of a podcast or the founder of an agency. We might be sisters and friends and daughters, and we are not just passionate about business or connectivity and conversation. I'm passionate about working out and I love to travel and I love nature. And so I think that you can virtually tell a story about anything in your life. And that takes a lot of practice too.
It really can, because of course, not everything is gonna happen overnight. Everything takes practice. Like when I started out with everything, I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing. I had zero experience. I didn't know what I was doing. And
Right.
of course, with being, a writer or whatever, a podcast host, it can take a lot of training and also a lot
Mhm.
of research to really become a good interviewer or a writer. And not everyone is perfect. Not everyone is a top pro, what's to say. And
Mhm.
everyone is, still learning what they are doing. No one's gonna stop learning no matter how good they are, what type of job they have. So
Mhm.
I love that you kind of brought up that because of course No matter if you are a big entertainment person, like my parents used to rent movies every week as your kind of family did. I used to watch movies so much growing up, also reading. I still do that to this day. And really, entertainment really made me realize how much I love learning about so many things. And that is kind of like why entertainment is such a good thing to really watch, is that like you
Mhm.
learn what you see and study by these writers and creatives really make and take their time into these movies or TV shows.
Yep, absolutely.
But why did you kind of start the writer's block?
So I started my agency, the WritersBlok, because I wanted to create other opportunity for other young writers. I had kind of cracked the code to create a lucrative career as a writer and a creative, and I knew that a lot of my peers were struggling. So I wanted to open up opportunity. I had built so many relationships in my early 20s. I had fostered a lot of connection and I was starting to get some really good traction. People were hiring me for a lot of jobs. I had overflow, and I thought creating an agency model would also give me the opportunity to work with some of my closest friends. Another reason is um, Another reason I started the writer's block is simply because I was really upset when cancel culture erupted. And
Oh
so
yeah.
part of me was I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to be in the rooms where conversations were had, when celebrities or a politician or someone of power and influence, when they say something publicly or do something silly that gets them canceled or that makes audiences question, like, why would you do that? Why would you say that? Or when it's obviously offensive, I would ask myself, who is sitting at the table advising this individual? And I wanted a seat at the table as well. I wanted to be someone who could make um, powerful decisions and could be trusted to help people who are in positions of power and influence meaningfully contribute to some of the most conversations in the world. And as a ghostwriter, it gives me the opportunity to do that. And so creating the agency just meant that I could not only work with my peers, but um, I could create this collective of structural thinkers and writers and creatives, and we could impact and reach a lot more people and clients.
Mhm. Yeah, I know with cancel culture, it has become such a big thing in the last few years. And I know whether it's like a politician, actor,
Mm.
influencer, whatever career you might be in, I know whenever they say something or they do something, everyone's gonna cancel it just I know one act. And I remember the Lori Loughlin scandal when she had
Mm,
her cousin, like her daughters, try to get into
yeah,
colleges and stuff. And after that, she got canceled. No one heard from her again. They didn't care about her.
yeah,
And that kind of reminds me of cancel culture. So like once someone made an incident that they kind of didn't mean to do it at that time, but they did, everyone's just gonna go freak out and never, talk or like just don't even care about that person ever again, which really is horrifying to see because of course these people might be good people, but they might be having this one act that might damage their whole career that they worked
right.
for how many years, which is crazy. Kind of think about how much cancel culture really impacts so many people around the world.
Yeah, and it's like, so my thing is, how can we get ahead of it? How can we have important conversations behind the scenes to really evaluate what a client stands for, right? So their morals, their values, their belief system, what they want to fight for, what kind of conversations they want to contribute to, what causes they're passionate about. Um, I think that sometimes it's just a learning opportunity, right? Sometimes we
Mhm.
will question, like, why would they do that publicly, or why would they say something so offensive? Sometimes it's just they're just not as self-aware. Sometimes they're surrounded by yes men.
Yeah.
I've sat in rooms and at tables where everybody who worked directly for the celebrity just said yes, 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 and nobody would push against the grain or argue that we shouldn't do this. Maybe we need to do this. And so I like that. I like when you have a woman at the table who knows the landscape, who knows how to navigate certain tough conversations. That's when things of importance really get done.
Because of course we're having some powerful women on this on the seat of the table. It really is important to kind of get their own advice, but also kind of get their own experience. Because there's so many women out there that have so many experience and
Mhm.
can bring some valuable insight to what your company has to offer. And that's what I love about your company is that you guys are always spotlighting and really are kind of willing to, help other people that kind of want to get a little start in their career field.
Yeah, I really do love it. Not only I think not the thrilling thing about being a ghostwriter is not just working with cool people, but it's also the questions that I get from young writers, from individuals who are graduating from college, university, are looking for their next career path. That's why I think it's important for women and women of power and influence to share their stories because it creates a possibility model and you create mentorship opportunities for other young people.
Right. And to wrap up this episode, like how can people contact you?
Honestly, you can Google me. I'm everywhere. You can email me directly through my website, pauleannareid.com or thewritersblog.com. You can email me directly. You can message me on social media. I'm very accessible. So I welcome any questions and I hope that your audience, keeps the conversation going and stays in touch.
Definitely. Yeah. So I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I make sure to contact her if you have any questions. I really recommend. I hope everyone, enjoyed this episode and everything she has to offer. Her work is absolutely amazing.
Thank
And
you.
I hope everyone at least learns something about about what she does. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to her, to me. I can get your question to her and reach back out to you. But thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Kylie.